So the trade deadline has come to an end, and it looks like the Seattle Mariners didn't really do much in the trade deadline to really give us hope that the Seattle Mariners would actually contend for the playoffs. And here's how it started. So it was on July 26th. The Mariners gave up their infield prospect in Mason McCoy for Trent Thornton. And Trent Thornton, he was pretty much another cheap move. So I don't really expect anything to happen out of him. And this was before the Paul Sewald trade. So this was something where maybe it was just an add depth kind of situation. But I don't really expect Trent Thornton to do anything, but he's going to have to, since now the Mariners don't have Paul Sewald anymore. And now July 31st, the most popular, or shall I say infamous trade, it was Paul Sewald was traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks for Dominic Canzone, Josh Rojas, and Ryan Bliss. The big ticket of this trade was really Dominic Canzone. And I didn't like this trade just because I just thought it was a very inappropriate timing for the trade. I think that if the trade was done like when the Mariners were like tanking or something, then maybe that's a trade I would have supported, because Paul Sewald still is not a free agent until the 2025 season. So I think that the Mariners should have at least given it one more year with Paul Sewald and see if the Mariners can contend for the World Series, in case they didn't contend for the World Series this year, which it doesn't really seem to be. But Dominic Canzone is the high ticket because he was the high rising prospect for the Arizona Diamondbacks, at least one of them. He did finally make a major league debut. Hasn't really done much because he didn't really get much at bats, but maybe he will get some at bats now that he's on the Mariners, since it is pretty much open. Since Cade Marlowe, as much as he's a fighter, I just don't see him making that kind of an impact, kind of a deal, kind of that big of an impact. Although he does grind it out, but you gotta do better than that. So maybe we got Dominic Canzone can step up and play outfield. Then you got Josh Rojas, who's basically the replacement for Colton Wong, who did just get DFA'd, which it really does look like. But a deal has not really been done yet, because there was a rumor that the Boston Red Sox were going to trade for him, but that didn't really happen. And then you got Ryan Bliss, who is like one of the younger prospects for the Seattle Mariners going to be. And let's take a look at Ryan Bliss. So Ryan Bliss was playing mostly in Reno. He's already made it to the AAA level, but he is 23 years old. But in AA was when he was really killing it, when he was in Amarillo. I can't even say it, in Texas. I should have just said Texas, so excuse me. He hit 12 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and 47 RBIs on a 358 batting average with a 414 on base percentage. So maybe if you want to see a guy like him, go watch him in Tacoma. I think he'll get called up, and maybe I'll go to a game just to check out and see how he is. So we'll see. And then, but yeah, other than that, the other trade that the Mariners made that was very just forgettable was they traded for another bullpen pitcher in Edward Bizardo for Logan Reinhart, who was arguably a failed first-round pick for the Seattle Mariners. He was going to be maybe the relief pitcher of the future, but it didn't really work out since he was hanging around in Everett at the age of 25. But now you got Edward Bizardo, just another depth guy. So the Mariners didn't really do much at the trade deadline. And what really upsetted me was not only do you see the Mariners selling off their bullpen, Paul Sewald, you also saw the Houston Astros trading for Justin Verlander. Granted, they did give quite a bit of prospects for him, but just the fact that the Mariners allowed that to happen was very frustrating. And then you saw the Texas Rangers trading for Max Scherzer, which was also pretty frustrating because now the chances of the division just got a little bit more thin, because the Mariners, as of this video, and I will go to this standings right now. It's taking some time to load, but as of this video, the Mariners were only 5 games back from the division. So there was a pretty good chance where they could have competed for the division. And for the wild card, they are now 3.5 back. The Yankees didn't make a move. Angels made very costly moves, which kind of reminded me of the Heathcliff Slocum trade. Not really. They didn't really get much of quality. Boston didn't really make moves. Toronto kind of did. But other than that, it's a pretty congested wild card, which is why I think the Mariners really should have gone for more depth in the bullpen and someone to better for second base, more than Josh Rojas, but hopefully the Mariners will at least win the series against Boston. But they need to sweep since the Texas Rangers are playing the Chicago White Sox. So other than that, seemed like a pretty underwhelming trade deadline for the Mariners, unless the players of the Trent Thorntons and that Eduardo guy, which I can't even pronounce his name at all for whatever reason, unless they step up, and you had the two other players in Rojas and Canzone, unless they all step up, this was a failure of a trade deadline. But if any of them can step up, then maybe it was a break even, maybe what was the point kind of trade. But hopefully these new players will contribute to the Mariners. But those are my thoughts. And hit that like and subscribe button to get more out of this channel and help grow this channel as well. And that will do it for the trade deadline. And thanks for watching.